We're here with Ana Popovic. How are you doing today, Ana?
I'm great.
And playing in Chicago today.
So excited to be back.
Yeah? You've played here a lot of times.
I have, and I love Chicago, so it's always great to come back and play.
The home of the blues.
The home of the blues, yes.
Yeah. So tonight you're at City Winery, and nice size venue here.
Yes, it is. We love it. Good place. People love wine and music, which is what I like.
Especially the blues, right?
Yes, yeah, no, it's fantastic. It's great to be here, and love Chicago. And I played here. When was the first time I played Buddy Guy's? Back in the day when I started, I guess. So it brings back good memories.
So you live in Los Angeles now, right? Like South Bay area.
Right, Manhattan Beach, LA. Yeah.
LA, my hometown.
There you go.
But you grew up in Yugoslavia, Serbia?
Yes.
And your father was a big influence on you.
Yes, he had a nice record collection and nice guitar collection and amps for a hobby. So I grew up listening to him jam and play, and grew up watching concerts, listening to records, reading music magazines and books about guitars. That was my childhood.
And so you started playing when you were a teenager, and you started recording early on and playing a lot of shows. Eventually studied music.
Yes.
But in the midst of your jazz studies, the whole touring thing kind of took off. Right?
That's correct. So yes. Actually, this year we are celebrating 20 years since I formed my band, which happened when I moved to Holland to study graphic design. And I made this big decision in my life that I'm gonna drop that and drop the graphic design studies, scholarship too, and go and be a musician, try to be a musician full time. Before that, I already had a band in Serbia, and we played a lot of concerts, but that was different, obviously, when somebody moves to Amsterdam and tries to form the band there and make a career. And back then, nobody was waiting on an Eastern European female guitar player playing blues. There was just nobody heard of that before. So, but I formed my band. I landed in Memphis the year after, and I recorded my first record for the American market, which was called Hush.
With Jim Gaines.
And a year later, I think I already was booked on 4 festivals, and I was nominated for the W.C. Handy Award as the first continental European artist ever nominated. So I fell in love with that scene, with the American scene. Obviously, I knew a lot about it through records, but that was the first time that it was like coming home, seeing actually, not only I've been listening to Memphis blues and soul and Chicago blues and Texas blues, but the first time that I actually was touring the States, and I played, I think, Nebraska Festival. I played Memphis in May, wonderful festival, and New York State Blues Festival, I think, back in the day, and one more. I'm trying to figure out which one. But anyway, 4 festivals that booked me. That was fantastic. People were lined up. They'd never seen Eastern European female blues guitar player, and that was it right there for me. And I never looked back, so I never had any other job. This was my only job I ever had, and I'm happy to celebrate 20 years this year, and many records down the line. And I think something that is a very successful music career, not only for any musician, let alone a female guitar player and an Eastern European lady. So I'm very fortunate. We never had a slow year, and we kept on going, and we played more than 120, 150 shows every year, and different countries, and we never slow down. It's like 1 year maybe you get to go to Spain, and next year you go to Dubai, or next year you go to Indonesia, but you kind of always open new markets and keep on coming back to same markets that are successful. So it's been a wonderful ride, all this time.
How has, I know your music is on Spotify, as is everybody's these days, and I know a lot of artists have a lot of opinions about where the music industry's at right now.
Well, I mean, it's so different from when I started, obviously. We didn't have any of the online help, or if you want to call it like that, or just any social medias. That was not the case. If you play a show for 500 people and people go wild, it's just basically the talk of the mouth the next day, or if you're going to call somebody, tell about the show, or maybe if you're lucky, there's few magazines that are going to actually write about it. That was it. But I was one of the first artists to have a website back in a day, because nobody had it, and I always put a lot of attention to that, although the times were different. Nowadays, of course, there's a lot of stuff that people don't like, especially musicians, and they're right, but there's also a lot of things that help, so nowadays you really can do a lot on your own, which I think is a wonderful thing. If you know how to use social medias, and for all the new kids that are coming on, it's just a wonderful help. You don't depend on nobody. You don't depend on record company. If your song is good, it's going to be heard. If you can put on a good show, it's going to be broadcasted one way or another. Maybe no television is going to be behind it, but the social medias are. If people are happy, they're going to come and see the show and buy the record. So I actually tend to think very positive about it. I've been releasing my records for the last, I think, 5 records, and I'm happy to say that not usually what record companies tell you, that's not usually the truth. The people are still buying it and always been buying it. And when they tell you, oh, you didn't break even, that's just that's not really where truth is. And I just got tired of hearing those things, and then it was a really pleasant surprise for me when I first released my own record. So being a woman and being a businesswoman and being a musician and a band leader, on top of that, I really wanted to test the industry, which is like a small section called blues music. That's a small section of the industry, but still you can test things and see that even in the times when people started to download, I was coming out with a triple CD called Trilogy, which was twice as expensive as any other record, and this was again the proof that people will buy it if they believe it's a good product. They're not going to download. There's going to be people to download for free, but you know what, you're getting also downloads from all the new markets that are opening now, like Japan, like China, and we have the overview and we see that the markets are shifting. Yes, there are going to be some people are going to go on a Russian website and download it for free, but there's going to be also a lot of people that are just going to download it on iTunes that not necessarily used to be your audience, because your audience was in the States and Europe, that was it. Nowadays you can be a blues fan anywhere on the globe, so basically your whole globe is your audience, and you go to these places like Indonesia and India, Dubai, and those kids sing those songs, they know your music one way or another. So I'm positive about where it's all going. You need to ride the wave. And if you're starting now, I would think if somebody asked me for an advice, I just say you need to make a use of this new developments, and new platforms.
So much of your music, while it's bluesy, there's a very strong funk and R&B influence. And where did that come from?
I have like 12 records, and every record is different. Nowadays, it's maybe a little more that direction. I mean, I was always a huge fan of a Memphis sound, which always had a lot of funk and soul. Even Albert King records, if you take, there was a lot of funky stuff, funky blues in it. Now when I play it, I'm a huge fan of War, for example. I've always been a fan of War, band War, and Mandrill, sort of a 70s, kind of a funky jam band. I don't know, the jam bands. So when you say funky, it's not like James Brown funk, but it's like in my music, it's really more like just a groove and a certain feel to that old school funk blues, which really can go very far, because if you analyze some of those things, like Mandrill, we did a cover of Fence Walk. It was back in the day. It was done in the 70s, so it's that song has got many parts, but it's got a very strong guitar part that can be interpreted as horns or guitar, and they just wail on the guitar. So if you put that song into a modern modern structure, and kind of compress it a little bit for the modern listener. You can really have a big platform for guitar and vocals, and it's just a good groove, and it's all about the groove to me. It's all about the groove. So when you say funky, it's more like, okay, Ana Popovic music is maybe blues with the groove, strong groove, everything.
It's very slinky, very sexy sometimes.